Stampers, and welcome to Laura's Stamp Pad. Today I have an amazing stamp set to share with you today. This is one of the stamp sets in the Sale-A-Bration brochure, which starts on January 6th and runs through March 31st of 2015. And this stamp set is just amazing. You know how I love flower stamp sets. So it's this stamp set down here, which might look kind of weird because it's like all these different images and you're not quite sure exactly what it is, but it makes these gorgeous lotus flowers. This stamp set is of course called Lotus Blossom, and I'm going to show you today a little bit how to use this stamp set because it is just a smidge tricky and takes some finesse, and I actually created these samples down here because they're just so amazing. So here you can see are my samples. I did them in lots of different colors because once you start playing with it, you want to see what kind of flowers you can come up with. So this one was done in Melon Mambo, and I used some of the designer vellum for the background there, and that's some of the gold. And the awesome thing about layering on top of the vellum is then you don't have to worry about where your adhesive is. So I did this flower here in Melon Mambo and added the baker's twine and then just a little piece of a doily there. This one was done in Elegant Eggplant. You can see that one's a little bit darker, so I have some tips and tricks for that. This one was done in Daffodil Delight. This one was done in Tangerine Tango. And this one was done in Bermuda Bay. So there's a couple tricks with this. I will show you this stamp set here, and it actually shows. You'll see on the stamp and on the little clear piece that the stamps come on, since it does come in photopolymer, it has a 1, 2, and 3. Sorry, I did that a little wrong. 1, 2, and 3. So you know which one to stamp first. You actually start with the smallest image first, not the largest, thicker image. So you start with that and you stamp 1, 2, and 3. And you want to do a little bit of stamping off as well. So I'm just going to show you. Here we're going to use Melon Mambo, and first I'll just do a solid flower. And I'm just going to show you on a piece of note card and envelope that I have here. So I'm going to take my first one, which is the smallest little image, and ink it up. And there's also that little arrow. I don't know how well you can see. There's that little arrow shows you the up point, so that then you can see and line up each of your additional ones from that. So I always kind of have them go to the corner. So there, I stamp the first one down. And then I take my second image here. And I have found that the best way to do this second image is to sort of stamp off just a smidge, just a light little touch right here, nothing big. And then I will line this up and stamp down. And you can see how it has those beautiful shades there, all with the same ink pad. Now I'm going to take the solid third image and I'm going to ink it up. And again, I'm just going to stamp off just a smidge, line it up, and stamp down. And is that not the most gorgeous flower ever? All the same color, so you don't have to get out 15 different ink pads to try to get those various colors. You can just use the same one and do a little stamping off, and it is just gorgeous. Now with the stem, here I'm using Old Olive, and there's actually 2 images for the stem as well. So you're going to want to use the not so solid one first, and I'm just going to ink that up and stamp it down. And then for the more solid one, I'm actually going to stamp off just a smidge. And again, because they're photopolymer, you can see exactly where you're stamping, which is absolutely fabulous. Again, with the photopolymer, you can also move your petal or your stem to be curved if you need a curved flower, or if you're doing a bouquet, or you just want it to kind of loop around a little bit more, then you can always just curve that, stick it down, and with those photopolymer stamps, works every time. Super fabulous. So there you have the first one. And now I'm going to show you how you can use 2 different colors. So let's just open up our Tangerine Tango there. And I'm going to actually be cleaning this number 2 image. And that's the image that I'm going to use with my second ink. So I'm going to get out another note card and envelope. And again, with my Melon Mambo, I'm going to go ahead and ink it up and stamp down. Then this one is Tangerine Tango, and this time I'm actually not going to stamp off because it's a separate color. So I have this one here, and I just stamp it down. And then we're going to take that last image, and I will stamp off with that one to lighten it just a smidge, and then stamp it down. So you can see how it's got those pinks and oranges in there with it, and it's super gorgeous. Absolutely love it. You can use lots of different colors. Here you can see I used pumpkin pie, and this was actually crushed curry. So you can see how I did that, and then you can see where I just kind of mixed and mingled all of my stems there. And then you can either put a piece of designer series paper down there on the bottom. You can kind of mix and match and play with it a little bit more. Here I'm going to show you another one. This was a bouquet that I did. How gorgeous is that? This I used some of the Island Indigo and Lost Lagoon, and then this one I used the same yellow and orange, the pumpkin pie and crushed curry for that. One little tip that I'll show you about this one is I started stamping all my stems so it didn't look like I had floating flowers, and it just became this hot mess of stems and flowers and petals everywhere. So now you'll see how this bottom flower is untouched, but I still have stems going down. So what I did is I stamped on some of this grid paper here, a little scrap piece of paper. I stamped one of the flowers, and then I cut it out. Once I cut it out, I laid that flower right on top of that bottom flower and stamped all of my nice little stems. So as you can see that this little piece is just loaded with green marks all over it. But whenever I did that, then it was able to mask that flower and get you that amazing look where there's a stem without actually overlapping all the flowers. Another thing I did is I took a piece of Island Indigo cardstock. You can either do an oval and then oval out the top and then just solid the bottom, you know, make it a line on the bottom. Or here I just took a rectangle piece and punched an oval along the top there, brushed the edges, and now I have that gorgeous square vase. How cute is that? Of course, brushing the edges with a sponge dauber kind of gives the dark edge, so it kind of gives the illusion of it rounding out and a little bit more 3D. Of course, I did make a little boo-boo down here on the bottom, so I'm going to have to add some ribbon or some other little foo-foo to kind of cover that up. Isn't that why we always add embellishments, is to cover up maybe a little boo-boo that we made? So aren't these... All of these cards are just absolutely gorgeous. I love them, and I will be using this stamp set so much during Celebration because this is just a must-have. And you can earn this for free. With every $50 order that you place, you can get an item out of the Celebration brochure, and this is one of the items that you can pick. Be sure to check out my blog, Laura's Stamp Pad, to see more samples using this stamp set. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and happy stamping!